that you aren't just responsible for yourself, but for the society too.
Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth episode of Business Bacardi. This is my 15th video in a row, and you have been giving a very lovely response to this via LinkedIn or via YouTube or all the platforms that we have been sharing this. And to be able to gather, though not a very big audience, it's a very big thing for me. So now let's get started on what we'll be discussing today. We are discussing the educational technology industry today, right? The interaction between these parents, teachers, and students have has totally changed due to it, right? We heard of major brands such as Byju's before, but adopting them remained a distant thought. There was no alternative to physical presence at school that was out there. We thought adopting a totally online education would disrupt our child's education. But due to coronavirus, we have to take this paradigm shift. We had to adopt to an online technology, or we had to adopt to this system of education. You know, Due to the nationwide lockdown that happened, the education technology platforms have seen a surge in their user registration and website traffic. you know there in India there are around top 35 online learning platforms. These people reveal that they had a surge of around 26% on an average between April 2019 and March 2020. This surge is huge when you compare the actual numbers, right? Our leading education technology market leader Byju's has seen 3 times the registration in this period. Exam preparation platforms such as GradeUp, these people are launching campaigns such as hashtag padhai nahi rukegi, or we have platforms such as Topper, or all these platforms that have been preparing our students for JEE, NEET. These people have seen around 100% of growth in monthly paid users. When talking about these three top platforms, Byju's has been rising 3x. When it comes to GradeUp, when it comes to Topper, they have been able to achieve 2 times the user registration of or web traffic that these people were getting already. You know, you know, but there's a major problem that prevails. Everybody wants to talk about the future of online education in India without necessarily taking into account the present day situation. Right? Around 24% of households in India have internet access. You know, and out of 24%, those who have internet, around 11% have computers. 78% of Indians have mobile phones. Density of this distribution in rural area only tends up to 57%. And student is a student whether he's from an urban area or from a rural area. These people online imparting education is necessary for each and everyone, right? Taking into consideration the length and breadth of how online education will actually happen and prove fruitful, right? A survey of 7,500 students was conducted, out of which 72% told that they were using their mobile hotspots to access internet, right? And 97% of these had faced connectivity issues when they were actually receiving these online classes, and only 15% have access to the broadband, right? But before we consider the availability of a good internet connection, we should take into consideration the availability of electricity in India. Power supply in rural area is very patchy. 16% of Indian households only receive electricity from 1 to 8 hours daily. 33% of these receive 9 to 12 hours, and 47% of these households receive more than 12 hours. You know, and schools in India weren't just imparting education, but especially talking about the government schools, they had a major role to play in the nutrition factor in a child as well. Midday meals were a boon to most of the families living near poverty line. It was literally a lifesaver. But with this lockdown, around 9 crore of Indian children have lost access to their midday meals, which is very tragic. You know, now this paradigm shift that has been happening from, physical presence in schools or colleges or universities to these web platforms. Obviously, I don't mean to say that these web portals are very useful. They obviously are, but they target a very specific niche. They aren't solving a very big problem that the industry has been facing. You know, and there is a base on which this country's foundation has been built. You have to take into consideration the large consumer segment. Not everybody can afford these web portal or these web platforms. It is very difficult for government schools and government universities to shift, you know, everything on an online portal altogether. Affording that is a very difficult task that these people have already had. State governments have to chip out, and some of them are actually stepping out. Assam, Punjab, West Bengal, Karnataka, as well as the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, they have already announced they will ensure the delivery of midday meals to the students. Right. It has been decided that from kindergarten to 8th grade that teachers are assisting on WhatsApp. Ninth to 10th teachers are preparing study materials and sending it on WhatsApp. Whereas for classes 11th and 12th, teachers are taking online periods. Right. Even others are trying to figure out on how to impart the best education till the time that this lockdown persists. But the bottom of the line is the future of online education in India will depend on how we accommodate the underserved population of India. And if we won't make a considerable progress, and if we don't address some of the systematic challenges that are plaguing in this sector, it will be very difficult for us. Till the time this pandemic prevails, such shift needs to be taken from the government. But problem solvers such as you and me should try inventing on how the underserved community or the rural community or those who don't have access to education should be imparted knowledge. Now, on this question, I leave this note, and this problem needs to solve by you and me. We should go out there and just not leave this problem on the edtech industry as a whole. We should try imparting knowledge on whosoever we can. On this note, I conclude. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and if you feel that these videos are any fruitful to you in understanding the scenarios that I talk about various industries or businesses around India, please leave a comment on how further I can improve my content and what you want me to cater. Thank you so much.